A kid with a YouTube channel quietly became the king of entertainment, and he's about to kill Disney's monopoly. Which seems impossible, because Disney has a century of characters and castles and billion-dollar franchises at its disposal. But while it's stuck making live-action remakes, rebooting shows, and cutting costs, MrBeast is launching multi-billion-dollar brands, putting on Amazon's biggest TV show ever, and even partnering with a world-famous author to publish books? All so that he can build the next Disney. And there are 3 key reasons why the mouse can't stop him from beating it at its own game. The first being that Disney won't be able to adapt to what comes next. But let's be clear, it's not dead yet. For much of the past 100 years, it didn't just make entertainment, it controlled it. And from Mickey Mouse to Marvel, and Cinderella to Star Wars, Disney didn't just tell stories, it acquired what we paid the most attention to. In fact, 7 of the 10 highest grossing movies of all time now belong to Disney, and a massive portion of the media landscape. But with all this power, the company itself is struggling to rekindle the magic. And I'm not the only one who thinks this. You can feel it when you watch the trailers, when you scroll the comments. Unfortunately for us, Disney's become extremely risk-averse, reliant on safe bets and nostalgia. And in a culture that's evolving faster than ever, it's actually a riskier situation to be in. Wish, for example, was supposed to be Disney's celebration of 100 years of storytelling, but it flopped hard despite the nostalgia bait and high production when audiences didn't show up to buy a ticket. They stayed home to watch something better, and Disney lost over $100 million. Recent sequels and reboots like Dial of Destiny and Haunted Mansion both lost over $100 million, and many of their original movies aren't doing any better. Even Marvel, their once unbeatable juggernaut, started to unravel. Its own leadership had to acknowledge the problem with Bob Iger, the returning CEO, admitting that Disney overextended Marvel and diluted the brand. He promised it would focus more on quality and reduce output. In corporate speak, that means we messed up. Disney knows it's out of rhythm with its audiences, but knowing isn't the same as fixing it. Because here's the twist. Disney's problem isn't just creative, it's structural. This is 233,000 grains of rice. Each one represents a Disney employee. It definitely looks like a lot to manage. And this is 500 grains, the size of Beast Industries. And it's a much leaner machine. Now, size alone isn't necessarily a problem. Some of the most important organizations in the world are the size of small countries. Scale can be powerful because it can mean resources and experience, but scale also means friction. You can't just casually turn the ship. You have to brief the crew, update the stakeholders, and go through layers of decision makers that add complexity. The larger the teams are, the more lines of communication there are. That's the real challenge here. Disney isn't built for speed. It's built like a luxury cruise ship, polished and steady, but also slow. It cruises along at 25 miles per hour. Beast is more like a high-performance jet ski. They're a smaller team with direct feedback from their founder. They can launch new ideas every week at 80 miles per hour. And in a digital world that rewards speed, iteration, and creativity, that's a massive advantage. Disney could recover, but I'd argue that recovery depends on whether it can move like a startup while still being a 100-year-old massive institution. And that feels unlikely because agility isn't really something you can just decide to have. It's something built into its DNA, and Disney's DNA is built for 20th century dominance, not digital disruption. Plus, companies don't last forever. Even giants can fall. Right now, Disney looks less like a creative powerhouse and more like a cultural zombie. Still walking, still talking, but no longer shaping the future. Many people aren't canceling Disney yet. They're just slowly forgetting, choosing to spend their time elsewhere. Data shows that the tide is already turning in the favor of creators. YouTube is beating streaming services like Netflix and Disney+, but remember, the company isn't making the videos. Creators are the ones responsible for the platform's success. So when creators like MrBeast took attention from Disney, it recognized the threat. The company knows it's losing. Disney just filed a pathetic lawsuit to stop YouTube from hiring one of its executives. Not to mention, it's had to partner with online personalities for marketing its movies and parks, subtly acknowledging what people are paying attention to. So, while Disney still holds on to some of the world's most iconic characters, it's losing something even more important. Which brings me to the second reason. Disney's biggest advantage is gone. Because before YouTube, there were only so many studios, TV channels, and gatekeepers. and Disney was king. Their movies and shows were the ones that dominated the shelves in an era of physical media. If you were a kid who wanted to watch The Little Mermaid, you had to wait for the VHS or catch it in a theater. If you loved Phineas and Ferb, you'd watch on a Disney-owned cable channel or eventually subscribe to Disney+. Everything was carefully packaged and fed through a Disney-owned funnel. It owned the studio, the show, the channel, and the merch. Disney's success was powered by this vertical integration. It built an empire by being the biggest and best inside that system. Except the internet doesn't do gatekeepers. Now, anyone with a camera or an internet connection could build their own empire, and there's an unlimited amount of digital shelf space. Although, to be fair, Disney isn't a stranger to adapting. First, it was pioneering feature-length animation, then dominating cable and home movies, and even making early bets on streaming with the Hulu acquisition and the launch of Disney+. Basically, Disney made sure to evolve with the technology. But the next wave of media is being built on open platforms like YouTube. Will Disney be able to adapt this time? YouTube is, in effect, the biggest TV channel in the world. Jimmy realized early on that its algorithm could spread his videos on a massive scale without needing to make deals with cable providers or anything. And now he can do on YouTube for free what Disney's marketing machine needs billions of dollars to pull off. Each MrBeast video is already a bigger draw than many Hollywood blockbusters, not just in views, but in raw attention. And he doesn't have to pay to upload his next video. No permission, just a direct line to hundreds of millions of fans. And that's the real advantage. Disney might spend years developing a story that doesn't resonate, then spend millions marketing to an audience it hopes will care. And its scale advantage has ironically made it less flexible in the modern era and less willing to take creative risks. Now, the old model could and has worked, but Disney's mistake has been neglecting its creative talent and forgetting how to make great things. MrBeast does the opposite. He starts with the audience, then he builds ideas from what people want, using comments, feedback, and data, and he launches new videos, shows, and products out of that demand. Why spend billions on marketing when he can just press publish and reach more people in a week? It's an audience-first model, and it's not only working, but it encourages creative risk-taking. Like how when a Disney movie loses money, it's because too few people cared enough to come to a theater and buy a ticket. And that loss is a huge financial failure. But when a MrBeast video loses money, it was done on purpose to maximize viewership with a free video, because nobody needs to buy a ticket. So while Disney fights to keep its aging empire alive, Beast is quietly building one that was born for this era. It's telling that Disney started releasing more directly on YouTube to chase the audience here, but MrBeast lives on this platform. Disney is merely visiting. Of course, Disney could try to buy its way back in. It's done it before. There's a real chance it starts acquiring creator-led brands the same way it scooped up everything else that gained traction. But here's the catch. That strategy wouldn't work the same anymore. In the past, it could acquire a studio and absorb its franchises. Creators aren't just building companies, they're people building communities and internet ecosystems. It's not as simple as just buying their audience. You can't just acquire the trust that made it all work. And most importantly, the best creators today aren't waiting around to get bought. They're busy building their own empires. So while Disney might try to adapt the way it always has, by acquiring what it doesn't understand, it could be too late this time. But there is another reason Disney might lose its monopoly to creators like MrBeast. Having been built from the ground up on the internet, Beast is able to scale 10 times faster than Disney did. I mean, take a look at how Jimmy builds things. He doesn't need to hope there's an audience to care about his next project. He releases a concept to his global audience, watches how people respond, and if it works, he doubles down. If it doesn't, he learns, makes some tweaks, and tries again next week. That ability to iterate fast at the peak of interest is something Disney can't really replicate. Their machine is too slow, too bureaucratic, too expensive. But for Beast, a failed attempt isn't a disaster, it's a data point. Every miss is just one step of an iterative creative process. And YouTube videos aren't the only part of the puzzle. Eventually, it seems they'll launch full-fledged franchises. And like Disney, they won't all rely on the original creator. You don't need to watch Mickey Mouse cartoons to enjoy Marvel movies, and you won't need to watch MrBeast videos to participate in whatever comes next. It could be a game that goes viral and builds its own following, that maybe becomes an animated TV show. Or it could be a novel that leads to a movie. New ventures shouldn't be MrBeast branded forever. They can stand on their own with new characters, new stories, and new audiences. If this still sounds far-fetched, just remember, a company called IBM once controlled over 70% of the computer market. They were so dominant, it seemed unthinkable that anyone could take them down. Then, out of their garage, a startup called Apple came along, and the rules of the game changed forever. Disney isn't going to vanish tomorrow. It's still a massive company with powerful brands and global influence, but the rules that allowed it to become a monopoly are breaking down, and creators like MrBeast are moving into the vacuum, faster, cheaper, and more in tune with what people actually want. So this isn't just about a YouTuber beating Disney, it's about creators inventing a new game entirely. One where the biggest entertainment companies in the world aren't started in Hollywood boardrooms, they're started in bedrooms. Where success doesn't come from controlling a platform, but from earning people's interest one thing at a time. And where media isn't just made for people, but made with them. Because what we're witnessing right now is bigger than one company. Corporations like Disney might own the past, but creators will build the future. Creators like Ryan Trahan, they aren't just making silly videos about Disney castles, they're genuinely competing with Disney directly, and upending other zombie corporations in the process. So this is just the beginning of the end for Disney's monopoly, but if you want to see what might replace it, how Beast is building an empire designed for this era, go watch this video that connects all the dots. Thanks for watching, we'll see ya.